from African Corner. 2023 was great, but 2024 is definitely gonna get better. New shows lined up, new topics lined up, and definitely new panelists lined up. How about we learn, relearn, and unlearn new things from African roots? And welcome to African Corner.
And indeed, welcome to the state of the continent. My name is Mutathio Ashirawanyaga, Mojiro wa mbari ya Karingi thina ngwihoka kuma ng'ongo ciothe iria ciumaga huho. Muri thayo. Today is a good day, it's a beautiful day also. It is the 21st of January 2024. Can you imagine? It's already 2024. And welcome to the first state of the continent for this year. And today we just want to tell you basically what is happening in the continent of Africa. So guys, stay tuned. We are back properly for this year. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you are, you have shared, you have commented where you need to do so. And keep it tuned. So before we go direct to what is happening in the continent, maybe I can just start from Collins. Please introduce yourself. I don't know if you are still Collins or you have decided to identify as something else this year. So go ahead.
I am still me. My name is Collins Maina Olusiashia, and it's a happy moment to be back for this year to inform you what is happening within the African continent. There is a lot in store for you guys. Just hang around, and I'm sure you'll be very happy by the end of the show. Yeah.
Thank you, Collins Maina, for being here. Also, we have Jeff Waheto. Jeff, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm just happy that it's the first state of the continent for 2024, but with the same people. It's an indication that we are going somewhere.
Yeah, we were never not going anywhere. So, Jeff, we were always going somewhere. I don't know now why you're saying that it is an indication. Collins, we were going somewhere from the word go. Look at this one. Anyway, now
maybe we might have been going alone. Jeff was not with us.
Ali, I think he's experiencing some network issues, but either way, he will catch us as we go through what is happening. Let us go directly to it. Collins, what is happening from your end?
Yeah. There's a lot happening within the African continent, but I'd like to start us off from West Africa, where once again the beautiful game is uniting us. And I think this might be the reason Ali has left, because I was almost about to say that his team were beaten and they are playing again today. So I don't know if that's the reason why he left Ali, or he left Ali because his name is Ali. But anyways, within the continent of Africa, in Cape Verde, the African Cup of Nations has kicked off, or as you call it in Kiswahili, Kombe la Mataifa ya Afrika imeanza kikamilifu. We are 2 games in and there have been a lot of surprises thus far, because just a few minutes ago I was watching the game of Tunisia against Congo, and many would have picked Morocco as favorites to win that game, but the game ended in a draw. It just goes to show you that such tournaments are very hard to predict, but that's what makes us as fans happy. We don't want to watch tournaments in which there's a sure winner and there's a sure loser. We want that element of surprise and unpredictability. And from the games I've watched so far, it has been very entertaining. We are only 2 games in, but you are glued to your screens watching these 2 games. And Ali was just saying South Africa lost their first game and they are playing another game in just a few hours from now. So you as a South African fan, I don't know what you think the scoreline will be, but we pray for you guys, because also our neighbors here, Tanzania, we were supporting them very vehemently just a few days ago, but Kiliwaramba, things did not go as we expected.
But you shouldn't assume that Ali is supporting South Africa. Maybe he's supporting Morocco.
He identifies as a Moroccan. Yeah. But it's a beautiful. In fact, they're playing against Namibia. He might be identifying as Namibian. Yeah, but it has been
Yeah.
a beautiful tournament so far, and we'll keep on watching and informing you guys of what is going to happen within the tournament.
Yeah, actually, we will have also a special broadcast for African Cup of Nation, or in Swahili we call it Kombe la Bara Africa. You know, such that we can be able now to dissect and go deeper into what is happening in the African Cup of Nation, as Collins has informed you. Now, another thing that is happening in the continent this week. I was following up a story from our very beautiful country here in Kenya. And Kenya was marking a time in history. It was really marking a really beautiful time in history where we were honoring the deaths. It is now 30 years since Jaramogi Oginga Odinga passed on, 30 years later. So that means he passed on in 1994. So if you are born in if you are born around that year, it is now high time you are 30 years and above. So basically, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, for those people who do not know, was the first vice president of independent Kenya. He was the vice president to the late also Jomo Kenyatta, and he plays a really, really major role in the history of our country. And he's also the father of Raila Amolo Odinga. So, for people who are watching outside the country, they might have known our opposition leader, who is known as Raila Oginga Odinga. This is his father. And basically, what was happening, it was the marking of 30 years since his demise, and we saw the event was really beautiful, happening at a place known as Ofafa in the Lake region. And the event was marked with high profile guests, the likes of Mama Margaret Kenyatta, the former first lady of Kenya, and other dignitaries. We saw them there, and it was really nice. And basically, we celebrate the life and also the moments that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga had in Kenya, because he's a notable figure in our continent. That is what was happening. I don't know, Collins, whether you got a chance to watch this. What happened, in that event?
I didn't watch it specifically, but I just like to appreciate that we are learning to honor our heroes for what they did, even after, for the struggle for independence and even after independence, because we went through some tough times, very tough times, and it's very nice to see us as a nation honoring people of this sort, people who fought for us and stood by their ideals. Yeah.
I don't know, Jeff. Do you even know Jaramogi Oginga Odinga from history books?
I just wanted to ask you that question. I don't think here there's anybody who experienced Jaramogi, or is there anyone above that? Or it's very confidential. I really know, apart from reading books, that he really fought for independence and he really fought for multipartyism. I really congratulate that man. Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
was a
know.
selfless, selfless actually, because he almost became the president of the country, but he said, you know what, I'm not going to become the president. He's not going to do anything until Kenyatta is released, and such kind of stories is what now we know in history. And then, Jeff, what is also happening on your end?
I want to take you to Nigeria, but I just want to tell you something I read earlier. You know, Nigeria was named after River Niger, and the person who gave that name in the late 19th century was called Rolasho. I just found it interesting. So in Nigeria, although I know that somewhere we have conflicts now about femicide, those misconceptions, in Nigeria, there was a deadly blast where explosives were found hidden under. Two people lost their lives and 77 were injured. It's really sad. What do you think about that?
Collins?
Yeah. It's indeed really sad that coming into the new year we thought that things will change, but seeing something of this sort, it's shocking really, because just last week, also recently in Kenya, there was also a blast, and these things you take very personally, because loss of life is not something you can take for granted, and we just hope and pray that those who lost their loved ones may find peace or closure to such things are very hard to take in here.
Yeah. We send our condolences to the people who have lost their loved ones. And it's really sad to hear such kind of cases from Nigeria. Okay, moving on. I was following also some other news from Congo. Jeff, did you get to see this also?
Yeah, the president, he's serving the second term. He has been elected the second term. His name is Felix Tshisekedi. Apart from winning the second elections, I really learned that he has a party which he succeeded his father. Is the largest and the oldest in Congo. Yeah, what do you think about that, Rashida?
Actually, for me, I'm looking at the event itself, the inauguration, especially from a Kenyan perspective. Two of our presidents, one former and one sitting, were there. And there are some memes that were, across the networks, people saying that how it feels to be with your ex. I know maybe you guys saw that meme. There are a lot of memes coming on, but I just love the maturity that our former president also, he was there in a different capacity. So, case we saw them, shake hands with the current president. They are not really in terms, but Felix Tshisekedi is now elected again for a second term among a lot of hullabaloo happening in that country. He won that with a landslide, almost 70% of the votes casted belonged to him, went to him. But people said it was illegal because this election went even to the next day. So it wasn't supposed to be like that, because the people who were observing it said, no, it is not right. So there was a lot of issues for this election that happened in December. But either way, we just hope that they'll maintain peace, and Congo will, go ahead with, this president. Yeah, so I think what I loved mostly, I don't know, Collins, you saw that, our presidents in Congo.
Yeah. I saw our two presidents going there, and I was just going through the story on X. And
Hmm.
apparently, the former president used a Ugandan plane to go there. I'm not very sure about the sources, but that was what I read from X. And I was wondering, why would he have to go to Uganda to get a plane to get there? Then on the day of the,
Hmm.
of the inauguration, I saw the two former Kenyan presidents greeting each other. So I didn't know
Hmm.
exactly what to buy into that situation. Was it just for formalities? Because as we Kenyans know it, the situation between them is kind of tense, really. And we just hope for the best. And on your issue regarding where the credibility of elections, in Africa and African elections, it's very hard to tell who was the winner and who was the loser, because
Yeah.
every time after elections you hear of petitions, you hear of people going to court. So you never really know. The best you can do is pray that the one who won will have your best interests at heart. Yeah.
Yep. Indeed. And also, Collins, you are sharing with me about this story.
Yeah. It's a very sad story indeed, because last year, I think Ali is trying to connect and is having a problem. But
Go
as I
ahead,
was
go ahead,
saying,
Collins.
yeah, as I was saying, initially what Kenya used to do is import oil using an open tendering system. In this
Mm-hmm.
system, there are a lot of oil marketing companies within Kenya. So what they used to do is that every month these
Mm-hmm.
companies put in tenders through the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to
Mm-hmm.
import oil into Kenya. And then
Mm-hmm.
what goes on is, during the tendering process, they identify the company with the least bid. Then this company imports oil into Kenya. Then the company now sells oil to these other marketers within the country.
Mm-hmm.
This was what used to happen initially. But then when our new president came into power, he said that this system was putting a lot of strain on the Kenyan shilling, because the oil market happens in dollars, it's not in shillings. So
Mm-hmm.
around every 2 weeks there was a demand for dollars. And in the wisdom of our president and his advisors that that was what was causing the depreciation of the Kenyan shilling. So what he did now was transition to a government-to-government deal with the Saudi Arabian government. So in this case, there are no tenders from these marketing companies within Kenya. The government buys directly from the Saudi Arabian government. And for this, the government selected 3 companies. There is Gulf Energies, Galana, and Oryx Energies. So these 3 companies are the only ones which had been mandated thus far to import oil into Kenya, in the pretext that that situation they would ease the strain on the Kenyan shilling. But 1 year on, like a lot of things or a lot of promises the government made, nothing has changed. In fact, we are worse off than we were at that time, because right now the Kenyan shilling is around, it's almost hitting 160 against the United States dollar. So the government right now wants to go back to the open tendering system, which was working perfectly fine. I don't know why they had to change it, because this deal that right now does not promote competition, because if only 3 companies can import oil into Kenya, it's not a free market. It's sort of a restricted market, a monopoly, I would say. And a lot of people actually were against it at the beginning, and it has just gone to prove them right that that was not the best decision to make. But we hope that the president and his advisors in their wisdom will find a solution to this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Ali, can you now hear us? We are trying to see if Ali can hear us. I don't know network from his end.
Washira, let me just comment about the oil deal. From a political perspective, for Baba, Ali for Baba is Raila Amolo Odinga, is the president of the opposition. Baba warned us. He told that deal is not going anywhere. I think he's going to pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed, he warned us.
Yeah, indeed, Jeff, indeed. Ali? Yeah, go ahead, Collins, go ahead.
He warned us, but this administration is famous for making very rash decisions and making decisions which might seem popular at the time, but according to my point of view, are not very well thought out. Because I can call myself some sort of expert within that sector, and the previous system worked perfectly well, because if you promote competition in a market, there will also be a fair pricing within the market. But if you introduce that restricted form of market, it's the end users who are going to suffer in the end.
Yeah, there's nobody who has a monopoly of knowledge, and it's sad that sometimes the government doesn't want to listen. Sometimes it's just good when there's that system we normally say, sometimes when it is working, just don't touch it. You'll break the entire thing. So, however, I don't like the way they are playing like as if they are testing things. Testing things I don't know. I don't think it's really safe for them to continue in that manner. That's really interesting. Maybe Collins, I think you're the best person to explain to us that, because of your, you're the petroleum engineer now. Ali, can you now hear us? Okay. I don't know whether Ali can still hear us. I don't know. But we have some comments coming in. We have Alex Oburu saying it is interesting 100%. And then we have Juliet Miner. She's saying that amazing talks with amazing people. Hilary Kipiegon following closely, and also Benedict saying he is following. Thank you very much for that. Ali, I don't know whether Ali can hear us. I don't know. I think we're still having a problem getting to Ali, so we are going to move on with what is happening. Also, from my end, I was just following this story where Somalia calls on Ethiopia to retract some, from the Somali land port deal. there's this issue that has been happening in January. These two countries, or I don't know if I'll say three, Somaliland is a part of what is known as Somalia, but Somalia itself has refused to accept Somaliland as an independent state. Now, Ethiopia and Somalia have been having issues. And now what Ethiopia has done has gone to sign a deal with Somaliland, which now says, so it's as if it is actually agreeing that, you know what, Somaliland is an independent state. So what Somalia is saying, that Ethiopia has to retract its deal with Somaliland if anything is going to be done, especially that port deal. It has to retract from that, and there's no space for for mediation unless that Ethiopia does exactly what Somalia wants. So it's an interesting issue. We are seeing what the democratic ties between Somalia and Ethiopia are not really that nice, and we just hope that things are going to be better. But that is exactly what is happening between Ethiopia and Somalia. Ethiopia has gone ahead to sign a deal or broker deal with Somaliland, a port deal. And they're not supposed to do that because Somalia itself is not aware, because Somalia still regards Somaliland as part of its territory. But now, if Ethiopia does whatever it has done, it sort of shows that Somaliland is an independent state. I don't know whether, Collins, you're able to follow that also.
Yeah, I've followed the issue on Somaliland for a while now, because I recognize it has been there for some time now, and I just wonder what drives them to try and be apart from Somalia, because speaking ethnically they are basically the same people. I don't know if there's some sort of interest within it, that's why they're trying to split from Somalia, or what is the reason for that. But some people say you should keep your enemies, your friends close and your enemies closer. And Ethiopia and Somalia have not always been in good terms. So
Yeah.
I think that might be a tactic Ethiopia is using, trying to use Somaliland to create like some sort of a buffer between it and Somali proper. And
Yeah.
you also recognize that
You have to say Somalia because Somali is a people.
yeah, Somali are people within Somalia and Somaliland.
Yeah.
But these issues of border, but you realize that border was not created by the Somali people per se, but it all goes down to colonial boundaries. And if you look at that situation keenly, it's sad that we are still following the rules set in place by our colonial masters, because Somalia, part of Somalia was colonized by the British and part of it was colonized by the Italians, if I'm not wrong. So that was what created that region of Somaliland. But we hope and we pray that that land finds peace, because you realize Somalia has not known peace for a very long time. There have been a lot of clashes, a lot of wars, maybe clan-based wars. And sometimes I wonder, because these people subscribe to a similar religion, they are almost the same ethnically. So I don't know where these issues arise from. But the best we can do is just hope and pray that they can sit down at a table and come to an amicable solution for that problem.
Yeah. We just hope that eventually peace is found. Jeff, also, what is happening on your end? Have you been following up on anything?
Yeah. About the Somalia, I really don't understand what's happening on that end, but I really just hope the outcome will be positive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Collins, is there anything else, or we call it a show?
Maybe just very briefly from Tanzania, where I don't know what's happening with Tanzania. They just suffered a defeat the other day within the African Cup of Nations, And now news coming in from Tanzania is that there has been an outbreak of a disease known as the red eye disease. And this is not the red eyes from partaking in a bottle or two of that drink. It's a disease which has a very hard scientific name. I don't know if I'll do it justice pronouncing the name, but it's keratoconjunctivitis. It has ravaged Tanzania, more so the regions of Dar es Salaam and Dodoma. And I was going through the Ministry of Health reports by Professor Rugajo. He said that in the past month, there have been almost 900 cases as opposed to 17 cases before. And what he basically said is that Tanzanians should endeavor to protect themselves from the disease by just keeping basic hygiene and avoiding touching their eyes. The symptoms, according to Professor Rugajo, are red swollen eyes and yellow discharge or itchiness within the eyes. So if any of our guests are planning to travel to Tanzania, just be warned that there has been an outbreak and keep safe. But the good news is that the disease is not deadly. There have been no fatalities so far, and it heals naturally.
We also call it. You have to remind them that there's some people who use or smoke a very, they call it a special herb,
Potent herb.
and once you partake it, your eyes become red. So it's still the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. Yeah, but I think those people who partake in that herb right now in Tanzania are enjoying themselves because they have an excuse for having red eyes. They can just say that they are suffering from the disease, and it's not due to that thing they take. Yeah.
Indeed,
Jeff,
indeed.
what are your thoughts on it? Are you afraid of going to Tanzania, or like they say, kaende kaende?
I'm really afraid. Nimeona imeshafika coastal area. I just hope isitufikie cause utakuwa unaenda tu nje unasikia you boys you have taken that thing twende ndani and you cannot deal with this government.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And also, Jeff, I think we also have an announcement to make to people before we call it a show. And just before you do that, allow me to put Miriam on so that she can tell them first, and then we tell them what we're talking about.
Are you an outdoor person who likes having fun? Or are you an introvert who likes having fun once in a while? Or are you basically a fun person? If you're any of that, well, I welcome you to a scavenger hunt, which has been brought forth to you by Washura Speaks other team. The place will be Karura Forest. The pay will be 1,000 shillings. How about you start your lipa pole pole and not miss this fun event?
Indeed, Jeff, what do you have to tell our people? What is the scavenger hunt? People asking me, we are seeing scavenger hunt. What is scavenger hunt?
Hey, scavenger hunt. I just want to say that they should expect more fun. It's just a game that encompasses of riddles which are African themed. You will be expected to find answers around the Karura forest. Be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah, Collins.
Yeah. We have our scavenger hunt coming up on the 16th of March, and just like you said, it looks like a lot of people don't actually know what a scavenger hunt is. But I could compare a scavenger hunt to a treasure hunt, in which you're trying to look for something at the end, but to get to the end, you have to solve some mysteries or some questions. So for each question you solve, it gives you the next clue. So you go like that concurrently until when you reach the last clue is when you now get to the treasure. And the treasure, believe you me, is something very worthwhile. For the team that will win, you'll enjoy yourselves. Yeah. I hope we'll see you guys.
Yeah, and
there.
for you to enjoy yourself, you have to pay, you have to register, right?
Yeah. And it's only 1,000 shillings. Using up the pay bill number 522533. The account number is 900-6666. And you can also pay partly. You can also pay in installments. You don't have to pay the whole amount. You can pay from as little as 200 shillings per week up to the time you complete your payment. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Actually, as Collins has said, it's a scavenger hunt is just another name for a treasure hunt. We just wanted to use a different name. People are used to treasure hunts, and we said, let's use a different name, which is scavenger, and it's also known as that. So I hope you guys are making your payments. We are going to see you there then, and there's going to be a lot of fun. For those people who came to the fun day last year, they also expect more and better. I see comments coming in. Let me read them through before we call it a show. Kemani Mwagi saying that good to see you all, gentlemen. Great year ahead. Great year also to you. And then, and then Castro Fidel Ongonga Wesonga, aka Duke of Koromatangi. Pigeni mkuu shout out. That is your shout out. Our friend all the way from Kakamega. Fidel Ongonga mwenyewe Songa, Duke of Karabotai. Na waambie watu wa Kakamega they come to to the event in March. Thank you, Fidel, for tuning in. And he's also saying that oh, I get it. Si ni kitu ka tempora nivi. Collins.
Yeah, let's give him the benefit of doubt. You're searching for
Yeah.
treasure. In this case, he's running for treasure. He's not working towards it.
Yeah. True. So thank you guys for tuning in live, and also for people who are going to watch this later. We appreciate you very much. Continue subscribing. We urge you to subscribe if you haven't. You can also share with a friend, also with some people, also with other people, so that they can be able to also know what is happening in the country and also get to know what Wachira Speaks is. So for you to register for the event, if you haven't and you want to come to the scavenger hunt, or you want to lipa pole pole, or you want to lipa all in full, you can get that information on our website, which is www.wachiraspeaks.com, and then you go to the events tab up there on your left, on your right, and then you'll see upcoming. Once you press the upcoming tab, you're going to see the scavenger hunt event. If you put there if you've put there your name, you'll see a place you put your name and register. You can decide to pay now, pay pole pole, or pay before the deadline, which is also communicated in the website. If not, then you can also check across our social media platforms, where you'll be able to see more information as we give it. That information also for our social media platform has been running down there in your screen, and you can be able to access that. So with that, I think we like to say good night. You guys enjoy your week ahead. My name is Motadewashira Wanyaga. Ichi ni Girana Shomo Bimubori. Thayo.